What feels like freedom is actually a meticulous crafted illusion designed to keep you chasing shadows. Every man has a forbidden desire he can't admit. It's not weakness, it's the silent hand shaping his choices, his pride, even his love. Welcome. Tonight, we expose the hidden corners of desire, underlying motives, and inner battles. If you've ever felt an inexplicable urge, stay. This is for you. Like this video, subscribe if you're ready to see the dark truth most men never face. Take a slow breath, let's go deeper. You think you are in control. You believe every choice you make is an act of free will, a rational step on a clear path. You choose your career, you choose your partner, you choose your values. But this belief, this very foundation of your identity, is the first and most elegant lie. Consider the man you see in the mirror. He wakes up every morning and goes to a job he doesn't love, but he tells himself he's doing it for his family. He puts in the hours, he plays the political games, he climbs the ladder, he believes he is a good man, a provider, a pillar of society, and by all outward appearances, he is. But if you look closer, if you squint past the flickering light of your own self-deception, you'll see the truth. He's not doing it for his family, not entirely. The truth is, he's doing it because the very act of providing gives him power. It's a subtle form of control, a way to justify his place in the hierarchy, to feel his will asserted over the world around him. His altruism is simply a beautifully disguised manifestation of a deeper, more primal force. This is the central, unsettling truth Nietzsche whispers from the shadows. Every human action, no matter how selfless or noble it appears, is driven by a hidden will. This is the will to power. Not the brute force, tyrannical power you read about in history books, but a quiet, relentless, almost gravitational force. It's the impulse to expand, to overcome, to impose your own values and perspective onto the world. It is the core of who you are, the unacknowledged engine behind everything you do. Think back to the last time you felt a surge of pride. Was it when you helped a friend, or was it when you saw their grateful look, confirming your own importance? Was it when you achieved a goal, or was it when you saw the envy in the eyes of those who didn't? The distinction is crucial, and it's one most men spend their entire lives pretending not to notice. You've been told this impulse is wrong. You've been told to suppress it, to kill it in the name of humility, charity, and goodness. They tell you to love your neighbor as yourself, to be meek, to be selfless, and for a moment you try. You push that primal will into a locked room in your mind. You tell it to be silent. You build a wall of morality and virtue around it. But the will never dies. It doesn't listen to reason or social contracts. Instead, it gets smarter. It starts to whisper from behind the locked door. It finds new, more cunning ways to express itself. It disguises itself as your duty, as your responsibility, as your love. You think you are acting out of the goodness of your heart, but you are still just a servant to your own deepest, most unapologetic desire for power. The man who claims to have no ambition is the most ambitious of all, for his power is now a quiet, unseen force, manipulating others with the currency of his perceived humility. This is the first rule of analyzing people, and it's the most difficult to accept. When you look at others, you are not looking at their conscious choices, their stated beliefs, or the virtues they display. You are looking at the intricate, often beautiful, often brutal ways their hidden will is asserting itself. The man who is obsessed with fitness isn't just seeking health. He is imposing his will on his own body, forcing it to submit to his ideal. The man who preaches tolerance is often imposing his will by demanding others conform to his definition of good. The moment you start seeing this, the world changes. The flickering lights in the dark room of your mind begin to show you the subtle strings pulling on every person you meet. You start to see the hidden motives behind every smile, every act of kindness, every moment of declared weakness. You realize that what you call a personality is simply the unique, complex way a person's will has adapted to the world, and the most unsettling part, this truth applies to you as well. Because while you were busy trying to figure out the motives of others, your own hidden will was still working tirelessly, pulling the strings on your choices, your pride, and even your love, and that is a truth you can no longer ignore. But understanding your own hidden will is only the first step. The real danger is learning how others use the masks of morality to hide their own, and that is a deeper, more unsettling layer. After you've seen the hidden will inside yourself, you can't unsee it in others. The world around you, once a blur of genuine intentions and clear motives, now comes into stark, unsettling focus. But you'll quickly find that this hidden will rarely operates in the open. It wears a disguise. A perfect, beautiful, and convincing disguise. It's called morality. They told you that a man's virtues are what define him. His kindness, his humility, his patience, you were taught to admire these qualities. You were told they are the purest forms of human goodness. But they never told you that these virtues are often a carefully constructed mask to conceal a far darker, more desperate motive. Look at the man who is a pillar of the community. He gives to charity, he volunteers, he is always the first to offer a hand, he is universally admired for his selflessness. But watch him closely, observe the subtle way he ensures his generosity is seen. The quiet mention of his donation, the carefully timed photograph, the man who needs to be seen as humble is often the man most desperate for praise. The man who preaches forgiveness is often the one whose greatest power is derived from holding onto a subtle, silent resentment. His kindness is not a natural state, it is a calculated performance. This isn't about being evil. It's about a hidden transaction, the man whose will is too weak to dominate in the open, whose strength is not enough to impose his desires directly, finds another way. He takes the very traits that were forced upon him, the humility of a servant, the patience of one waiting for a turn, and he rebrands them as virtues. He tells himself, and everyone else, that these are the true measures of a man. It's a psychological trick. He makes his weakness his strength, and in doing so, he begins to resent those who possess the raw, unapologetic power he secretly craves. He uses his morality like a shield and like a weapon. He uses it to shame others, to subtly control them, to ensure that the rules of the game are always stacked in his favor. He is a master of the silent power, the man who controls others by making them feel guilty for having what he lacks. And it works, because most men don't realize the virtues they admire in others are often a silent cage, binding them to a set of rules that were designed to keep them blind. You've learned to see the mask of morality on others. You've learned to recognize the subtle power play behind a virtue, but as you begin to practice this new sight, you will find yourself doing something else, something you can't control. You will start to judge. You will see a man boast about his accomplishments, and you will feel a quiet superiority. You will see a woman desperate for validation in a conversation, and you will think to yourself, how weak. You will see a person cling to their victimhood, and you will condemn it with a silent, moral certainty. This judgment feels like a sign of your own strength, a moment of clarity that separates you from the herd. But every time you judge another's weakness, you are actually revealing the deep resentment and desire for power you've been forced to suppress. This is the first crack in your control. Think about the last time you felt a genuine disdain for someone else's perceived flaw. Was it their loud ego, their insecurity, their constant need to be the center of attention? Now ask yourself, honestly, what part of you secretly craves that same attention? What part of you wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be the one taking up all the space in the room? The answer will be unsettling. The judgment you feel is not a rational conclusion. It is a psychological defense mechanism. It's the silent scream of a forbidden part of you that you've long ago sentenced to death. You condemn the other man's behavior because you were taught that such behavior is selfish, is base, is a mark of a person unworthy of respect. You took that lesson and you hammered it into your own mind, killing the part of you that was hungry for the very thing you now see in others, but that part of you isn't dead. It's just hiding, festering, and boiling with a powerful, unspoken resentment. And when you see another person giving in to that very desire, you don't feel disgust for them, you feel disgust for the part of you that you had to kill to fit in. You are not judging their flaw, you are projecting your own deepest shame onto them. This is the poison of what Nietzsche called resentment. It's a man who, unable to act on his true power, turns his weakness into a virtue and then condemns anyone who possesses the strength he lacks. The man who can't be brave calls bravery foolishness. The man who can't take control calls it arrogance. The moment you see yourself judging someone else's weakness, you are not looking at them. You are looking into a dark mirror that has just revealed a part of you that has been silent for a long, long time. You've seen the mask, and you've recognized the judgment. Now, we go one layer deeper. Beneath the resentment, beneath the quiet anger, there is a core feeling that most men spend their entire lives running from. It's a cold, silent weight you carry with you into every room, into every interaction. It's called shame. This shame isn't a simple regret for a mistake you made. This is a profound, internal sense that a fundamental part of you is wrong. It's the feeling that your true nature, the very will you have been taught to suppress, is somehow dirty, selfish, and unworthy. This shame is the invisible wound of a man who has betrayed himself. Think of a moment in your own life. A moment of quiet failure. Perhaps it was a conversation where you stayed silent, a risk you didn't take, a promotion you let slip away. You tell yourself it's okay, that you simply chose the safer path, the more reasonable choice. You create a story to justify your inaction, but later, when you're alone in a quiet room, a cold shame settles in. It's not because you failed, it's because you didn't even try. You see this shame everywhere, once you know how to look. It's the man who says he doesn't care about money because he's afraid of failing to get it. It's the man who preaches humility because he's too afraid to be proud. His pride collapses not from external defeat, but from the internal exposure of his own hidden cowardice. His shame isn't about what he lacks, it's about the deep, forbidden ambition he refuses to act on. This is the exact moment a man's pride collapses. It's not a loud, dramatic event. It's a quiet, unsettling realization that the shame he feels isn't his own. It's the shame of his hidden will. It's the shame of the silent part of him that still dreams of power and victory, while the man he pretends to be settles for a quiet, respectable life. His moral virtues are a comfort, but they are also a cage. Every time you see a man retreat, every time he backs down from a challenge or justifies a small life, you are not just seeing a lack of courage, you are seeing the visible evidence of his shame. He is retreating from the world because the world, with its challenges and its demands, threatens to expose the deep and forbidden ambitions he has tried so hard to kill. The world threatens to show him that the shame he feels isn't for what he's done, but for who he is. But this shame, this is just the beginning. It's the foundation of something far more manipulative. You'll learn to see the exact moment a man's pride collapses, because the shame he feels isn't his own, it's the shame of his hidden ambition, and it is about to make all of his choices for him. The shame of your hidden ambition doesn't stay quiet. It doesn't fade into the background. Instead, it becomes the silent director of your life, pulling the strings on the choices you believe are your own. The choices you make for freedom or love or stability are often nothing more than a frantic attempt to satisfy a desire that secretly owns you. Consider the man who leaves a powerful, high-stakes career for a simpler life. He walks away from the money, the status, the endless hours. He tells his friends he is searching for meaning, for a quiet kind of happiness. He is applauded for his courage. He believes he is free, but look closer. You'll find the real truth flickering just beneath the surface. He wasn't courageous. He was terrified. He wasn't seeking freedom. He was retreating from the shame of a potential defeat. He saw the path ahead, the endless competition, the risk of failure, and his hidden will, afraid of being exposed, demanded he take a different route. His freedom is a meticulously crafted illusion, a subtle cage designed to protect him from the very ambitions he's too ashamed to acknowledge. He has imposed his will, not by conquering the world, but by shrinking his own world to a size where he knows he can't fail. He has become a master of a domain where there are no real opponents, and he mistakes this quiet surrender for liberation. Most men don't realize that the decisions they make for love or family are often driven by this same invisible hand. A man might marry a certain woman not because he loves her, but because she offers him a form of quiet power, a sense of control and stability he feels too weak to fight for on his own. He is not choosing her, he is choosing the safety she represents, the refuge from a world that demands he become something more. His love is a convenient cover story for his surrender. The irony is cruel. The more a man flees from his own forbidden will, the more it controls him. It turns his ambitions into his greatest fear and his dreams into his deepest shame, and every choice he makes to protect himself from this shame only tightens the chains. But that's only the surface. The real danger is the dark realization that the parts of others you hate are the same parts you have tried to kill within yourself, and this is the source of all your unease. You've seen the mask, you've felt the shame, you've understood how desire manipulates your choices, but all of this was just preparation for the final, unsettling truth, a truth that you will now find impossible to ignore. The mirror we have been holding up to the world is not a window, it is a reflection. A dark reflection. The parts of other people you hate are the same parts you have tried to kill within yourself. And this, right here, is the source of all your unease. Think of the person who repulses you most. The one whose arrogance makes your blood run cold. The one whose transparent manipulation you see through with a silent, moral judgment. The social climber, the backstabber, the man who speaks with an undeserved confidence. You hate him not because he is evil, but because he is a living, breathing testament to the part of you that you've long since buried. He is the man who didn't listen to the rules. He is the man who gave in to his own ruthless will, unapologetically. You were told that path was wrong. You were taught to suppress that hunger for power, that desire for victory, and you did. You killed that part of yourself in the name of civility, of humility, of being a good man. But he didn't, and every time you see him, you are not seeing his flaws. You are seeing a ghost of the man you were supposed to be, a ghost of the desires you had to murder. Your discomfort is not for him, it's for the memory of the life you gave up. The deep, unsettling feeling is your own suppressed will screaming in recognition. It is the echo of a part of you that still desperately wants to fight. The most unsettling truth is that the parts of others you hate are the same parts you have tried to kill within yourself. This is the ultimate dark realization. All of your moral judgments, your quiet resentments, your feelings of superiority. They are not a sign of your virtue, they are a confession, they are a roadmap to your own unfulfilled desires, your own suppressed will, your own secret ambitions. You are not a spectator in this world of hidden motives and power plays. You are a participant, and your greatest enemy is not an external one, it's the part of you that you've been told to hate. What feels like profound dread is actually the quiet acceptance that the world is not moral or immoral. It's simply a battle of wills, and you are a participant. The dark realization has a weight to it. A profound dread that settles deep in your chest. You see the world not as a place of good and evil, but as a vast, tangled web of competing wills. And you realize, with a cold, quiet shock, that you are just another thread in the fabric. This is not a moment of moral collapse, it is the beginning of a different kind of freedom. What feels like profound dread is actually the quiet acceptance that the world is not moral or immoral. It's simply a battle of wills, and you are a participant. You are no longer a spectator, you are a player. Think of the person who once repulsed you with their ambition, the relentless social climber, the man who takes credit for the work of others. Before, you saw him as a moral failure, a man to be condemned. But now you see him with a new, unsettling clarity. He is not a moral figure, he is a force of nature. His will is simply stronger, or perhaps more open, than those around him. He is a predator in a world of moral sheep. And in this moment of quiet acceptance, you feel something shift. The moral outrage that once fueled your contempt begins to recede. It is replaced by a cold, clinical curiosity. You start to see the world as it is, not as you were told it should be. You see the subtle, silent power plays in a conversation. You see the hidden transaction in every act of kindness. You are not celebrating these things, but you are no longer judging them. You are simply observing. This is an unsettling kind of peace. It's the calm that comes from knowing the game, even if you are still unsure of how to play it. The anxiety you once felt was the sound of your internal moral compass shattering. The dread is the echo of a world that is no longer safe, no longer predictable, but the silence that follows is the birth of a new power. It is the power of a man who no longer needs a moral map to navigate the world, he simply needs his will. But this uneasy acceptance is just the surface. The real work is to stop fighting your own shadow and instead learn to negotiate with its power. You've seen the truth, you've sat with the dread. You've come to an uneasy acceptance of the world as a battle of wills, but acceptance is not the end, it is only the beginning. The man who stops fighting his own shadow and instead learns to negotiate with its power is the one who finally becomes his own master. For your entire life, you have been at war with yourself. You were told your primal urges were something to be defeated, a beast to be caged. Your ambition was greedy. Your desire for dominance was selfish. Your anger was a sign of weakness, so you fought them. You built walls, you locked doors, you silenced the screaming parts of yourself, but the will to power is a force of nature. It cannot be killed, it can only be redirected. The anger you suppressed, it became resentment. The ambition you stifled, it became anxiety. The desire for dominance, it became a quiet, passive-aggressive need to control your small world. Your inner war has left you exhausted and without true power. Now, we end the war. You will no longer fight your shadow. You will negotiate with it. Think of a part of you that you've long considered a flaw. Perhaps it's a quiet hunger for money and influence. Instead of judging this as greed, look at its raw energy. What is it really a desire for? It's a desire for security, for agency, for the freedom to create your own values without the chains of others' opinions. This isn't a flaw, this is a powerful, primal force. Your negotiation begins now. You look at that desire and you ask it, how can I use your power in a way that is constructive, that serves me, that builds instead of destroys? The man who uses his hunger for power to build a company that creates jobs is not a greedy man. He is a man who has negotiated with his shadow. He has taken a raw, forbidden energy and directed it toward a purpose he has created for himself. He is no longer a slave to his shame. He is his own master. This is not a moral lesson. This is a strategy. You are a man with a powerful, wild force inside of you. You can either fight it for the rest of your life, or you can learn to ride it. The man who stops fighting his own shadow and instead negotiates with its power is the one who finally becomes his own master. You've stopped fighting, you've negotiated with the shadow and seen the raw, untamed power it holds. And in the silence that follows the battle, you will feel something you've never felt before. It's not happiness, it's not a loud triumph, it is a quiet moment of liberation. This liberation is born from a single, profound act. You stop seeking validation from others and you start creating your own values. For your entire life, your sense of self-worth was like a flickering flame in a hurricane. It was dependent on the praise of your boss, the respect of your peers, the approval of society. Your actions were an attempt to earn these things, to prove that you were good, as strong, or successful according to their rules. But in this quiet moment, all of that falls away. You realize that their values are just a mask, a shadow play. They have no more power over you. Think of a time when someone's opinion of you, a harsh word or a dismissive gesture, would have felt like a physical blow. You would have spent days replaying the moment, defending yourself, trying to justify your actions. Now, with your own clear values, it feels different. You can hear their opinion, you can understand their perspective, but it has no weight. It is just another thread in the vast tapestry of competing wills. Your worth is not up for negotiation. You have already determined it. This is the true meaning of freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom from being a slave to the values of others. You are no longer living in a world defined by what they told you was good or evil. You are living in a world you are creating for yourself. You have taken the raw energy of your will and you have forged it into a new, personal moral code. This quiet liberation is a dangerous thing. It makes you fearless in a way you could never be when you were dependent on approval. It gives you an inner compass that doesn't bend to the winds of public opinion. And in this moment, you find a new kind of freedom they never told you about. It is the final, unsettling wisdom. When you truly analyze people, you are not looking at them, you are looking into a dark mirror that finally reveals yourself. You have found a quiet liberation. You have stopped being a slave to the values of others and have begun to create your own. And as you stand on this new ground, with the world laid out before you in all its brutal, beautiful clarity, you realize the final, ultimate wisdom. This entire journey was never about them. The journey to analyze people, to see their hidden will, their masks of morality, their shame and their fears, it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed mirror. Every truth you saw in another person was only a reflection of a truth you were too afraid to face in yourself. The arrogance you saw was your own unacknowledged ambition. The manipulation you condemned was your own suppressed desire for control. The weakness you pitied was your own fear of failure. You have spent all this time looking outward, only to find that the entire time you were looking into a dark mirror that finally reveals yourself. This is the end of the lesson, but it is not the end of the journey. The man you are now is not the man who started this video. The man who is now in this quiet room, with the shadows of the night gathering around him, sees things with a new kind of sight. He is no longer defined by the moral codes that once imprisoned him. He is no longer a slave to his shame. He has negotiated with his shadow, and now he stands alone with a quiet strength that is truly his own. Look into the dark reflection of yourself. The world is not filled with people to be judged or admired, but with living, breathing mirrors. And tonight, when you face that reflection, you will see a part of you they told you to kill, but it never left. You've reached the end of this journey, but the work has only just begun. The ultimate wisdom is not a secret to be memorized, but a new way of seeing. You are no longer a man who is defined by the values of others. You are a man who understands the silent forces that shape every decision, every virtue, and every hidden shame. You have seen your own will reflected in the world around you, and in doing so, you have found a new kind of power. Not the power to control others, but the far more profound power to control yourself. This is the first step toward becoming a man who has overcome himself. If you are ready to continue this journey, if you are ready to peel back the illusions of morality and face the raw truths that most men ignore, then take a moment now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join the small number of men who are truly willing to see the world as it is. The mirror is waiting, and the reflection is a question you can no longer turn away from.